What if I told you that the food sitting on your plate right now would be completely unrecognizable to your ancestors from just 10,000 years ago? Not because they ate weird things, but because we do. Here's the wild part: ancient humans had no grocery stores, no refrigerators, no cooking apps, no delivery services. They woke up every single morning with one question burning in their minds: what am I going to eat today just to stay alive? And the answer to that question? It changed everything. It shaped our bodies, it wired our brains, it determined who survived and who didn't. Stay till the end, because the last part will completely change how you think about ancient humans. And honestly, how you think about the food you eat every single day. Today, we're going back. Way, way back. Before farms, before bread, before anything that looks like a modern meal. We're talking about a time when your ancestors woke up in the wild, looked out at a dangerous, beautiful, unpredictable world, and figured out how to feed themselves from scratch every single day. And what they ate and how they ate is one of the most jaw-dropping survival stories in all of human history. Let's go. Imagine it's morning, 30,000 years ago. You wake up not in a bed, but on the ground, inside a simple shelter made of branches and animal skins. The air is cold. Your stomach is empty. You have no pantry, no refrigerator, no plan. What you do have is knowledge. Ancient, hard-won, passed down through generations knowledge about the world around you. You know which berries are safe and which ones will kill you. You know which roots grow beneath the soil right now and how to dig them up. You know where the animals travel, which direction the herd moves, and how to get close enough to hunt. This is your supermarket. This is your entire food system, and it covers thousands of square miles of wild, open land. For most of human history, we're talking hundreds of thousands of years our ancestors were hunter-gatherers. That means they didn't grow food. They found it. And their diet? It was astonishingly varied. On any given day, an ancient human might eat freshly hunted meat from a deer or wild boar. They might crack open bones and eat the rich marrow inside one of the most nutritious substances their bodies could find. They gathered wild berries, nuts, seeds, and fruits. They dug up roots and tubers from the ground. They fished rivers and streams. They collected shellfish along coastlines. They even ate insects, not as a last resort, but as a reliable, protein-rich food source. Think about that variety. A modern person eating a sandwich for lunch every day has nothing on an ancient human who was eating dozens of completely different foods across the week. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ancient humans didn't just eat randomly. They were incredibly smart about it. They understood seasonality in ways we've almost completely forgotten. They knew that certain plants bloomed at specific times of year. They knew when certain animals were fat and slow and easier to hunt. They timed their movements following herds, traveling toward rivers when fish were running, moving to coastal areas when shellfish were abundant. Their entire calendar was built around food. And here's something that might surprise you. Scientists who study ancient human diets have found that hunter-gatherers actually ate a remarkably balanced diet, often more nutritionally complete than what many modern people eat today. Wild plants and animals are packed with nutrients. The meat of a wild animal is far leaner and richer in certain fats than the meat found in a grocery store. Wild fruits and berries have more vitamins and antioxidants than their farmed versions. The roots and tubers ancient humans ate were loaded with fiber that their digestive systems had evolved specifically to process. Their bodies and their food were perfectly matched, because their bodies had been shaped by millions of years of eating exactly those things. Now let's talk about meat, because this is where the story gets dramatic. Hunting was not easy. There were no guns, no traps from a hardware store, no guaranteed success. Ancient hunters used spears, bows, atlatls, throwing tools that launched projectiles at incredible speed. They worked together in coordinated groups. They tracked animals for miles, sometimes for days. And when the hunt succeeded, it was an enormous event. A large animal like a mammoth or a bison could feed an entire group for days or even weeks. Every single part of the animal was used. The meat was eaten, the organs, the liver, the heart, the kidneys, were considered the most valuable parts and often eaten first, right there at the kill site, because they were packed with vitamins and nutrients. The bones were cracked open for the marrow inside. The fat was saved, even the brain was consumed. Nothing was wasted. This wasn't just survival instinct. This was sophisticated nutritional knowledge, built over hundreds of thousands of years of learning what the body needed. But meat was only part of the story. Plants were actually the foundation of most ancient human diets. On most days, gathering plant foods was more reliable than hunting. A hunt could fail. But the forest and the fields were almost always offering something. Ancient humans gathered over 100 different types of wild plants in some regions. They knew which mushrooms were edible and which were deadly. They learned to identify dozens of different berries by sight. They discovered which roots became more digestible when cooked in fire, and which seeds could be dried and stored for leaner times. And fire was the game changer. When ancient humans learned to control fire and began cooking their food, something extraordinary happened. Cooked food releases more energy than raw food. It's easier to digest. It takes less time to chew. Scientists believe that cooking may have actually changed the shape of our bodies. Our intestines shortened. Our brains grew because cooked food was delivering more energy to the brain more efficiently. In other words, cooking didn't just change dinner. It may have helped make us human. Let's talk about fat for a second, because this is one of the most misunderstood parts of ancient human diet. Ancient humans actively sought out fat. They craved it. They prioritized it. They tracked fatty animals. They cracked bones specifically to access the fat-rich marrow inside. They preserved animal fat for cold seasons when food was scarce. Why? Because fat is the most energy-dense food that exists in nature. In a world where food was not guaranteed, fat was survival. Fat meant energy stored in the body for the days when nothing was available. Fat meant making it through a cold winter. Fat meant life. And here's the fascinating twist. The kind of fat ancient humans ate from wild animals, from fish, from nuts, was incredibly healthy, rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Completely different from the processed fats found in modern food today. Their relationship with fat was perfectly tuned to what their bodies actually needed. There's one more thing that will genuinely blow your mind. Ancient humans fasted. Not as a health trend, not by choice, but by necessity. On days when the hunt failed, on days when the gathering came up short, on days when the weather was brutal or the migration hadn't arrived yet, they went without eating. Sometimes for a full day, sometimes for 2. And their bodies were built for it. Their metabolisms were flexible in ways that modern bodies, trained on constant meals and snacks, often struggle to match. They could dip into their fat stores, slow their systems down, and keep functioning. Feast and famine. That was the rhythm. Big meals when food was abundant, lean stretches when it wasn't. Their bodies had evolved across hundreds of thousands of years specifically to handle this rhythm. And now, here's the insight that makes all of this land differently. The human body you are living in right now was not designed for 3 meals a day at regular hours. It was not designed for processed food, for artificial ingredients, for the constant availability of sugar and refined carbohydrates. It was designed by hundreds of thousands of years of hunting, gathering, feasting, fasting, eating wild meat, wild plants, wild fish, and wild fat. That ancient diet shaped your digestion, your metabolism, your cravings, your instincts around food. When you crave something rich and fatty, that's ancient survival programming. When you can't stop eating something sweet, that's an ancient brain responding to a signal that used to mean rare, seasonal fruit. When your body bounces back after skipping a meal, that's an ancient metabolic flexibility, still working, still trying to serve a world that no longer exists. Ancient humans spent hundreds of thousands of years building the most sophisticated, adaptable, nutritionally intelligent food system that has ever existed on this planet. And they did it without a single cookbook, without a single nutritionist, without a single grocery store. Just knowledge, instinct, observation, and an intimate understanding of the world around them that most of us will never get close to. The next time you eat something, consider this. Somewhere deep in the wiring of your body, there is a hunter-gatherer who already knows exactly what you should be eating. They've known for a very, very long time.